I may have to get underway. And here's, okay, I will. So first of all, thank you all for showing up. And this is supposed to be an introduction to the program, to show, not so much to teach how to do the various things step by step, because some of it, there are some steps I can't even show in between, but it's to show the power of the program. And then each of these functions, each of these wonderful functions that it does, we have detailed videos on how to use it. So then we can fall back. Here's somebody, Joshua. Okay. So for each of these, we have the detailed videos, and I'm going to show that. And first of all, too, I want to, and I think maybe everybody here knows about it, but if you're coming from the weather class, and I have to remind the weather class about this because they may not have seen our textbooks on this subject, and we have that. Let me bring this over. Is my screen visible to everybody? It shows sort of the chart. Okay.
Yes.
And then I'm going to move the participants over. Here's somebody else. I enter. And so here are the two books. This is our main textbook for our ENC course. And but that's a bigger book, and it covers all of electronic charting. Whereas we have now a new book. This is a very small little book, and it just discusses the functionality of the charts themselves. So it's about charting. The other book's more general. So those two, if you're in the inland, if you're already in the ENC course, then you've got the big one for the textbook. But if you're in the weather course, then one of these would be useful to take a look at. So let me stress the value of this program. It's this first of all, it's free. It's free for Mac and it's free for PC. The mobile versions cost about $39, but they are really remarkable. And it's also Android and iOS are separate products, but they're $39. But it's really remarkable. They may well be the best mobile apps on the market. And one of the nice things is the way they work on the mobile app is essentially the same as they work on the computer, and you can learn how to use it on the computer, and that'll largely translate. So, but as far as the ENC, the new nautical charts that we're teaching about and looking a little bit tonight, this is really one of the state-of-the-art programs in the world right now for viewing ENC charts. I've worked closely with the author for maybe 2 years now, and they have done a great job on this. It has many unique features in both navigation and weather, and superior in many cases. And also, for the training purposes, it has an absolutely outstanding simulator. You can simulate you can do real sailboat navigation following your polar diagram in the forecasted winds. You can force the wind, you can add on current, you read all the data on your instruments and so forth. Now, tonight, I'm not getting into any of that. That's another talk. But again, we do have already videos on that. So tonight I was going to try roughly 50-50 on navigation and weather, and not talk about the mobile apps. They do. It's also, I'll make a note, it's valuable to get the latest version. There's ongoing development of the program, and also maybe take a peek at the beta every once in a while. And also, when you are there at the website, double check, get the latest manual, because when there's new updates, they update the manual as well. And so the first thing I want to do is remind, and now this will be a reminder to some and maybe news to others, what are the resources we have for this? And we have some very strong resources. And one is we call the cheat sheet. And I just discovered something. You can go into, I think you can type qtVlm cheat sheet in Google and get right to it. So that's progress on some level. So once you get there, then this is interactive. So if I want to learn about keyboard shortcuts, you click here, and here's all the keyboard shortcuts. You click this to go back. You can do a Command F and search on, let's say, buoys. I don't know, buoys. That's going to be silly. Well, that's especially silly. B-U-O-Y, buoy. Okay. And then you can then just actually search through the search that way. So that's a very powerful tool that is interactive, like mission oriented. Then there's also a link here for a playlist of videos. And this is also an interactive list of all the videos that we have on this use of this program. And that a lot of the things I'm going to show tonight, just very briefly, click, 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 then you would go on here and learn the, oh, here's somebody waiting to get in. Oh, wait just a minute. I'm sorry. I have to figure out how to do this now. Admit and admit. Okay. Now, for those that just got in, I'm sorry. I didn't see we don't have it set up so automatic. And I didn't see there were two waiting to get in. So I apologize. I was a bit late in clicking that. All right. So that maybe I'll put that over here as a reminder. Okay. And so that is that video cheat sheet. What else? Oh, okay. So you're now in one course or the other of our courses. So your best, or your, in a sense, your most powerful source of information is just post a question in the class you're taking. There's also you can go online and type Facebook qtVlm. Let's see if that works. Yeah, QTM English. See, that works. That's pretty good. And here, there's Facebook. Now, you can't get out of that Facebook thing that the type of stuff you can get from us or from our videos for the most part, but you do see the author answering questions there. And there's a lot of technical stuff about boats, hardware interface stuff. So you may find, or that's a good place maybe for hardware questions that we don't know the answer to here at the school. Okay, so that's that. Now what I was going to do is now talk about the navigation. I'm talking about navigation first, and then we'll get to the weather. But before I do navigation with charts, I want to just go over the program itself and how you sort of interact with it without even any specific regard for charts, just what you can do, like and so forth. So let me, let me go back. And let's say the cheat sheet. And the cheat sheet, there is a link in here. Let me just say, I'm going to use a cheat sheet right now. And then toolbar. You can go in toolbar. Oh, okay, toolbar. And then, let's see, where is my link to that? I have a brand new, just put online a brand new section on the toolbar. And it's linked in here, and I'm not getting to that link. So I'm going to go to it a different way. I'm sorry. Let's see, toolbar. I'll just open it up this way. But this is something that you then have online that you can go to. And I'm sorry, I thought that link would take me. Okay, here's somebody waiting to get in, admit. Okay, I thought that link would take me straight there. It doesn't. So this is a new link we just made, came up during the process of thinking about tonight's talk. And it goes through the toolbar and all the different items on the toolbar. So that's just a new resource that you have. And then down here, there's a link again to your references. So that's a toolbar. That's a new reference. And there's that's a cheat sheet. So we're in the program. So first of all, I don't have any charts loaded. I'm just left clicking and pulling around like that. You can do that. You can right click and move the boat here. Now, usually the program one of the default setting is that will open to where the boat is located. So sometimes if you're working on something and you want to come back to the same place, just put the boat there. and the various ways you can pan and zoom, there's lots of ways. There's these plus and minuses up here. Rolling, you can I'm rolling the mouse, and then you can hold the shift key down to slow that process down a little bit, and so forth. And in the cheat sheet, there's a whole section of all the different ways you can pan and zoom, and what kind of steps they take. There is also, this is a valuable button if you're starting to zoom around the whole world. If you click this button up here, it's the whole world, like that. And then if you want to go to a particular place, you can do this two ways. You can click this button up here, and that's turned orange. Then I can go like here and draw a little box, and then I can right click and say, zoom on that selection. Right? That's one way to do that. Or you can hold your command. See, you can hold the command shift down if you start interacting with the keys. And again, if you go to the cheat sheet, there is a big section on all of the keyboard shortcuts that are available. And one trick is, now I'm on a Mac, and but we can also, I've got a PC open here I can show to it if we need to. But on a Mac, I'm using a command. If I hold the command key down and drag, it will zoom to that area. Now that would be on a PC, you would hold the control key down and drag like that. Or you can also click this. Well, yeah, I've already said that. But another thing is with this, you can also, with your shift key down at any time, your shift key draws that box. That's the same as clicking this and then draw. You can then put the shift key down and draw. Now, those are valuable features for fast navigation within the program. We've got a mile scale down here. Now this scale, you can move, you could, like this scale down here, I can go right click and then right click, move chart scale here, chart scale there. Oh, look at now the default shows this thing zoom level. That's related to some special MB tiles type charting that we don't use. So you could shut that off if we go to the configuration at the top, the menu bar at the top, and that's a difference between the Mac and the PC. The PC version has the toolbar, Let me see a PC version. Here's a PC version, and you see let me close that, cancel. The PC version has the toolbar right in the program. You see, right in the program, it has that behavior. I think that's intentional even, but I don't understand. The toolbar is right in the program here and stays with the program. If you move this around and make I'm not so checked out on the PC, but you can move this thing around and then the toolbar stays with it. But on a Mac, those using a Mac, they have to get used to, they're used to it by now, but on a Mac, this toolbar is up here and the program's down here somewhere. So we have to get used to that. So here, configuration, but again, the commands are the same Mac and PC. So I go to configuration, charts. This is just looking at that. And this is zoom level in the scale. We don't need that. You can shut that off. I'll be coming back to this configuration stuff in just a minute, but that's just one thing, and that just shut that off. So that shows this is 50 miles from here to here, and this is a display scale of 1 to 2 million something. Okay, so that's that. Let me see where I am and what I want to do. Oh, okay. Move, scale, explain, shut off, zoom level. Yeah, we did it. Now, the other thing that is relatively new, let's go back here, back to the Northwest over here. I'm just, again, what am I doing? Command zoom, like that, something like that. Now, one of the new features of the program is the addition of the world magnetic model. So you can right click anywhere and say magnetic model. And that shows that that's for any time and for any place in the world. you get accurate magnetic variation. And if the chart you're using is slightly different, then the model will be correct. The model will be the correct answer. And however, when you're using ENCs, the ENCs are updated every week. And but they don't update. They update the variation every year or so. The actual model updates every 5 years. And so that's a magnetic variation. Now, when you're navigating your boat, how you choose what you're going to do for magnetic display, you would go to boat up here in the boat menu. Let's see, boat settings and variation. Again, I apologize. I'm going through this fast to give you an overview of the whole program, but each of these details we go over in great detail in other videos, in a step-by-step video. So you can see here, now that means when I want to display magnetic bearings for any reason, I have these different ways I can show it. I can either force it to be exactly this, and that's what you have to do in some of our exercises in courses. We use a old chart, and we have to use like 20 degrees east or something. So that's where if you're doing an exercise from a book, 20 degrees east, you force it right there. Or you could take it from this NEMA. That means that you have an electronic compass on your boat that somehow is a lot of the electronic compasses will calculate the magnetic variation. They're running this world magnetic program themselves, or you take it from the world magnetic model directly. Now, and you also, and I'll show you, all the ENC charts include the latest up-to-date value of the variation. This says true or magnetic. That's just showing the primary displays. If I say true, let me come back here and do something like get away. Oh, the other thing. Okay, I want to say one more thing, but let me just say, here's now a blank. I'm no charts yet. I'm just doing navigation. The ruler tool, and I got the ruler tool, and that's measuring the distance from there to there. But you see, I must be in the true mode because it's only telling me the heading. It's only telling me the heading. The two that are kind of hidden by my super big red cursor is one is a rhumb line and one is great circle. But when a little distance like this, you don't see that. Let's do this once for the moment here. Let's go back to the whole world. And now I do ruler tool. And now you see, look, what you got there, two different things on the ruler tool. One is the rhumb line is the straight line, and the great circle is the shortest route. But you don't see that. You don't see that on the short distances. And the heading, that's okay. Now we little navigation folded in here. The heading on the rhumb line is in fact the heading of the boat. You would see everywhere on there, the true heading. The heading given on the great circle is just the initial heading up here at the start. Okay. Let me come back to where we were. Doesn't matter that much. The other thing I was going to say, if I do the world magnetic model, now this again just shows that, that we ask for this and they put it in. We've got the inclination. That's a dip angle. That's a dip angle that when you got the plane of how parallel is the Earth's magnetic field vector to the Earth. If it's exactly parallel to the surface, then it's 0, and it can be up or down. Now we have an article. Now I wonder if I dare look for that in here. There is an article in here. Let's say if I say dip, does that dip angle? Dip angle. There's a reference here to the article. Oh, I don't see it again. But we have an article in our blog about how far you have to go, how far south you have to go before the dip angle might interfere with the function of your compass. And if that comes up later on, oh, look, card balancing. Oh, that link just doesn't show up that well. It's the wrong color. Anyway, here's the article I was looking for. And this just shows you how the zones of the Earth. See, if you're up here, you can generally go one zone. You can one or maybe two zones before your compass doesn't work right. So if you've got your compass and you build it up around here in the Northwest, you could go clear down around here and you're still going to function pretty well. But when you start getting down here, it's not going to work so well. It depends on this compass and so forth. But that's something to keep in mind. And that shows the data, and you can sniff around with that. Now, that doesn't affect electronic compasses. So that's one of the virtues of having an electronic compass on your boat, because that is a way that you could, that wouldn't be affected. Okay, let's see. Okay, so that's what that is, then the annual change and so forth. So that's a very nice addition to the program. And now somebody mentioned OpenCPN just a while ago. They have a plugin that does that as well. And I think most sophisticated programs would have that functionality. I can't say for certain. Okay, now let's see here. I wanted to look at, the units. Okay, under configuration, appearance, units, and here's where you would choose the units. Now, you may have occasion to switch back and forth between feet and meters. You can do that here. The temperature, we probably would just use always Fahrenheit, unless you're using some model. No, his program, if you import, you can change. In other words, suppose you import data, which is sea temperature, seawater temperature, surface sea temperature. Then you can display that in either unit, which you would select here. UTC versus local time, that's something you would do once in a while. This is either Europe versus US, that difference. Now, here again, very rarely in navigation do we use seconds. The only place you'd use seconds really is if you're trying to, actually hardly at all. The light list, strangely enough, the light list specifies the location of a buoy or light to an unbelievable, totally unrealistic, high precision of accuracy in seconds. It's just sort of nonsense, really. But we don't use seconds very often. You would use either millimeter, this is degrees, and minutes dot minutes. So if I look at, okay. And the other one, though, however, is pure degrees. So instead of 25 degrees, 30 minutes, you would have 25.5. Now that switch is one that as you get more and more into the use for weather, for marine weather, you would be making that switch more or less more often, because very often it's easier to use it. Most navigation, you're using degrees and minutes, and here your weather work, you might switch to degrees. Okay, that's that. Now the appearance, the only thing I want to mention here is that maybe come back to this or come back to the video and look at these settings, because you will see that my numbers down here are bigger than if I look. Let's see, do I still have my PC? Yeah, I have my PC. You see, the default has the pretty small numbers here. Default are made for better eyes than mine. And we read a lot of things from that status bar. So my own preference was to make it a little bit bigger. And so I changed those to a Courier font, equal space Courier font, and make them a little bit bigger. But you can come back and check this screen for those settings. Okay, let me get back to my notes. My notes. Okay, Lat-Lon. Okay, that's okay. So ruler tool. Let's go back to I didn't quite finish. Here's the ruler tool. That's when you're navigating, or even when you're doing practice exercise and so forth. It's extremely valuable. You right click, and here's the ruler tool. And that just measures distances like that. Now you'll see it changing colors, and that we'll get to in the charting section. This ruler tool is designed to let you know when alarms are going to trigger off. And this alarm is clearly obvious. I'm on land, right? But it'll trigger. You see, look, it went red because it knows there's something down there that we can't see. Because we don't have charts loaded, but I do have the ENC loaded, so it's in the knowledge of the program, but it's not showing right now. But anyway, that's a ruler tool. The other thing too is you can take the ruler tool And this is actually fairly new tool. And I think you just double click it. Yeah, you double click it instead of single clicking it. And you can make a loop like that. And, then you've got the distance for the full distance with 11.4 and, and so forth. So that's the ruler tool. That's a nice feature. Now, what do we got then? Lat-Lon. Lat-Lon. You can read the Lat-Lon of the cursor down here, down at the bottom. Now, when you're underway, this is called the Microboard, and there's a new one that I'm using the old one. You set that, you go configuration, boat maybe, boat. Yeah, Microboard. See, here is, I'm using the old-fashioned VLM microboard. There's a tactics microboard that looks like this. That looks a little different. And when you're actually sailing, there's all kinds of arrows and information here when you're sailing or doing simulations that show this. But that's a fairly new feature, and I'm still more used to the old one for the time being. But anyway, that's those two, and they changed this. The new one has a lot more information in it, but it comes into play when you're actually driving the boat, either in a simulation situation or in a real navigation. But if you click this, it opens what's called a dashboard, and that gives the position of the boat at all times. So you have a lot of ways to look at the position of the boat. And then the other thing that, again, doesn't really depend on charts is that we can make waypoints. I just right click, new mark, and then you can give it a name of some kind. That's the Lat-Lon of that position. I can put rings on it. Let me put, if I want to, this comes into really handy for navigation. I'm putting 3 rings on it at 1 mile and so forth. Okay, like that. So that's a mark, and then I can do new mark and so forth. Then I just give it some name. Okay, there's marks. So that's the way you do marks like that. It's very easy. Now, you see, when I grab this, I can move it instantly. There is a setting in the setup where you can't move it easily. You grab it and you have to pause for a minute. It won't let you move it easily, but I just turned that off. The other thing that's really handy is I like this feature. This is one of my favorites. I'm holding the shift key down to draw a box, right? Shift key, draw a box. That's the same as pushing this. Then I right click it and say delete all marks. Yes. So that's a really handy. That's one of my favorites. Now let's just see what we've got here. Now we're going to start loading charts. Okay, so let me stop there on that for the moment. I'm not getting into pathways, but let's look at now just quickly loading charts. And I'm going to go a little bit beyond the halfway mark on the charts, but not much. And then we will get to doing some weather work. Now, there's really an easy way to do charts, especially if you're concentrating on U.S. charts, mainly American charts. Now, as soon as you get other charts, then you get international charts, then you have to set up some other folders. And if they're official purchased charts from the government, they will be encrypted S63. I'm not going to talk about that here. It all works fine. We've done it with many national charts in this program. It's a fairly simple system relative to others, but there's still steps to follow. And we have videos on it. But if you're doing US charts, this becomes extremely, it shows one of the amazing features of the program. And that would be, you go to charts and then NOAA Catalog. Now, at this stage, the program assumes you're going to put all the charts into a folder inside the main working folder of the program. And we generally teach that it's better to store those charts outside of that program, outside of there. So you're storing all of your qtVlm data, meaning your charts, your harmonics for the currents, your the various images, the shapefile, all the data that you might want to load into the program, you keep out in a separate folder. And I just call it my qtVlm data. And inside of it, you have the charts and so forth. So somewhere, if you don't have to do anything. You absolutely don't have to do anything. You could just carry on, but there is the option to change folder. If you don't change the folder, then they're going to all go to, in a Mac, they're going to go to some folder in here. And this qtVlm is a folder in the root of the system, in the applications. And there is a folder in here where the charts would go. I don't know which one. I don't use it. So you pick a folder, any folder, like documents or documents, my qtVlm data, my charts, or something like that. Now, so that's where all charts are going to go. And then you click the NOAA Catalog, and then it's going to download the charts. Now, I have all the charts located on a well, it's for homework here. I mean, I have it in a Dropbox somewhere, but you would have it on your computer somewhere. Now, then once you hear this is just loaded all the charts for all the states, and it looks like there's 2,700 US charts, something like 2,700 US charts. At this point, you can decide what you want. Let's say I want the Washington charts just for the state of Washington. So I would choose Washington like that. And so what's it show? Look at that. It already just tells me right now that I have 74 charts for Washington, and I have 14 are outdated, 74 installed. Or wait a minute. Now you could just go up here and click status, and there's all the installed ones. And then there's outdated ones. So I don't have any that are uninstalled. In other words, I have all the charts from Washington State loaded in here, and 14 are outdated. So if I ask for outdated, all outdated, and then come up here, let's see, all outdated status. See, there's the outdated ones. And then all I would have to do now is say update, and it will update those charts. It will update those charts. You see that I just click this and it'll go and update the charts. So that keeps all your charts up to date. And that's all there is to it. Then these charts are all then stored. There's also by region, and these are the regions that are defined by NOAA, and these are the Coast Guard districts. Now, if you go in the cheat sheet, there is a link that will show you how the regions are defined. In other words, what states are in what regions. And it'll also show you in a Coast Guard which ones are which. Okay, so that's the way that is. So now let's just say, okay. Now I can turn on, and these buttons up here are the ones that turn on the different charts. Now, the O are online charts, such as OpenStreetMap and things like that, are the raster charts, like a paper chart. M is MB tiles, which we don't use, and we also don't use these CM93 charts. So we use mainly the vector charts. So if I turn on the vector charts, then they look like this. And then I have here turned on the chart outlines. The chart outlines are turned on, and the blue ones means these are the boundaries of the charts. The red ones are ones that are totally underneath. You're not seeing them. So this chart, like if I right click here and say chart info, I'm going to see that this chart right here, this blue one like that, that's US, that's that one. And it has a 1 to 50,000. 1 to 50,000. That's not right. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, there is one. Okay, there's a bigger chart overlaying everything. Okay, well, let's fall back on a new feature that's more sophisticated. Actually, there is a bigger. I didn't realize how it's actually showing the outside chart, and the other thing I did not realize, normally you would not have that big, small, it covers a big area. It's a very small scale. And normally I wouldn't have that chart loaded at all because it's such a small scale. I would never be using it. But recently I loaded all Washington charts. But here's the beautiful new feature. Just right click anywhere and say charts at this position. And then what you see here is all the charts. Oh, wait, there's something. There's the 1 to 80,000. So I could show only this chart. So see, that brings up only that chart. Oh, somehow my charts are not loaded right. Let's see, do I have this right? Charts, chart groups. Let me just see. I'm sorry, my all charts. It should be all charts. And I should have this, I should have all those charts. Let me come down here to this region, down here in Seattle, put the vector charts, and then right click and show all charts at this position. Yeah, I don't know what I did up there. I have to be careful. I do so much manipulating around with things, but this is a more typical view of this functionality. So it starts out with the largest scale resolution chart, and then it shows you every chart that you have stored that's at that location I just clicked. So if you want to look at this one, you could just click this one and say, and this says zoom. It means zoom to this chart. So if I do that, then I've zoomed into that chart like that. And it's hard to figure out. Okay, control. All right. So that is then how you look at the charts. I'm not able to in this group. I'm not able right now to discuss more about the various subtleties of the charts themselves. We have to fall back on other things for that. Let me just show, and also I have to move to weather here pretty quickly. But let me just show. I can't get by without doing one thing. This has an amazing functionality called searching the charts. And so if I do Command F, let me just say rocky point, a rocky point. Now there should be, okay, and no surprise, there is lots of rocky points around the world. And then I can sort them. Let me sort them by latitude. And you see there are rocky points all the way down here. Let's see if there's any around us, 48, 122. Yeah. So if I do here and center on chart, then that found there's a rocky point right there. Now you can't necessarily, I can't change the scale when I'm doing this, but there is a rocky point right underneath there. The other way to do it is zoom in to a little bit higher scale before you start, and then do it again, Command F, and then rocky point, R-O-C-K, rocky. I was hoping it would show the name, but it didn't. R-O-C-K-Y, rocky point. Okay. And so we did that one. Let's just see. Here's 42. That's not us. Latitude. We're around 48, 123. Here's something. What's this one? Okay, well, that's another thing. There is something there called Rocky Point, if I zoomed in on that point. And then, but look, there's also, I did this Rocky Point. Here's this one. This one's clear down in Mexico, like this. And then, okay, so let me go down there. I just wanted to illustrate a couple things and then leave away from the charts for the time being. And so there is a Rocky Point here. Okay, now I'm going to have to change the display. Shift Command D. So to get, I don't have any more information on that point. But let's say you're here. One last thing about the chart. I'm in some place down in Mexico somewhere here, right? And so one of the things this program will do, another really nice feature is I can do Shift Command. Now these are commands. Well, you would see it up here, View in Google Earth. I'm in Option Command G, and yours would be Alt Control G, right? But if I click this, then it will automatically open Google Earth to that place at the same scale you were looking. It's a kind of a neat thing. You can learn all sorts of things about. Now, again, you have to have connection. You have to have an internet or cell phone connection to have that work, right? Because it's logging into Google Earth. But anyway, that's an amazing, fun feature and a valuable feature of the program. You can also learn a lot about tide lines and things like that. Oh, let me go back, F9. Oh, and you can also assign keys to take you to certain places like that. F11, let's see, is that? Yeah, F11 is a golf. I've set that up because I want to look at that in the weather maps. And F9 is back here in the Pacific Northwest. The other thing I just mentioned real quickly, and then have to stop and have a few minutes on currents. This thing will also show, the chart program will also show currents. It'll show the current. You can then right click and see all the currents like that. It's a very beautiful detail with that. Well, I'm going to stop on that again. There's just so much. The program does so much. Now I realize you cannot absorb exactly how to reproduce exactly what I've done during this time. Clicking through is mainly want to show you just samples. We haven't even touched all the functionality of the charting. It'll do some amazing things we haven't done, like you can lay out a route and then it will evaluate the route to tell you if you're hitting any dangers along the way. But there's just too many things. I got too excited about what I can show. Let's switch over and do some things about weather.
David, we do have one question here in the chat.
Okay, what's that, please, David?
Where does it display the depth mode? Feet, fathoms, meters. How can we choose where it is?
Oh, okay. That would be back here under the configuration. Well, that's probably units.
I think so.
Units, feet or meters right here. And you only have feet or meters. It doesn't do fathoms. Feet or meters. And if you change it, like, let's see, if I'm looking here, cancel. Let me just say another remarkable thing about this program. If I right click this chart and just say chart information, this program will tell you, it'll tell you the units somewhere here, I think. But the main thing it tells you is, look, it tells you here all well, it says the feet, the contours are in feet, and it also tells you where all the native contours are. That turns out to be, for the use of ENC, extremely valuable. Extremely valuable, and I've never seen a program that'll do that. Tells you all the contours that are there, because when you set various safety contours and shallow water contours, they have to be a contour that's within the chart itself. Was there anything else, Dave?
There is a comment about fathoms and whether or not that's an anachronism.
Oh, well, it's a length of line from your hand to hand. Take a length of line and pull it out like that. That's a fathom. Can you see my arms?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's they all go away. All that, frankly, literally, okay. The paper charts are going away. And you know what goes away with the paper charts? Feet and fathoms. So the new charts are all in meters. So it's up to if you have a navigation program, then your navigation program may pamper you and show things in feet and fathoms for you if you want to. But the government's not dealing with them anymore after, about halfway through next year. And even now they've basically stopped updating paper charts. Okay. Let's go to weather. I'm going to shut off the picture here for the weather. Oh, and shut off the currents. The tides and currents, you have to look at the video we have. It does not come with harmonics. You have to load the harmonics. I've only got, if I'm sticking exactly to my 1 hour, I only have 15 minutes on weather. That's not very fair to the poor weather. New Gribs. Okay. So if you're new to Gribs, we have a link called Grib School. And that's the place to go first to learn about Grib files. And the Grib school is linked in the probably the playlist and the cheat sheet. Or I don't know if you can Google, you can maybe Google StarPath Grib School. And that has a long interacting sets of articles that tell all about Gribs. But here now we're assuming we know a little bit about the Gribs themselves, and we're loading them. The program will load you can load three different Grib files. And there are 3 slots. And here's Gribs 1, 2, and 3. So Grib 1, if I open Grib 1, okay, so I can do that. That's loading ones that you have already stored. If I'm in a given area like this, I can, within the program, load some winds and so forth. That's done with this point up here. You hold it down and okay. Oh, admit. Okay, admit. That's this link here, which is unlike the others. The others don't do this, but this has a special functionality, this one right here. You hold it down and it gives you these different options. Now, the high-speed way to get a wind on your page is to click this download partial Grib. Now, that loads GFS model for 5 days, wind only, every 3 hours at 0.5 degree resolution. So it's not the best data, but it's not the best presentation of wind data, but it's perfectly good for a lot of needs and for doing some practice routing and sailboat simulations and things like that. So that's the very fastest way. Now, if you want to get, but no isobars, if you want to get without going outside the program, if you want to get isobars, then you would click here and then do XY Grib. And XY Grib, you can get wind, mean, the mean pressure, wind and mean pressure. You could also get wave heights, wave heights and, things like that. Significant wave height, gusts, and so forth. You can get that. And that's going to be either for the screen or let me back up again, or you can usually just draw a bar here like this, but it's going to always extend beyond that. So here, okay. Once you've drawn a box like that, you can right click it and choose what you want. And if I want to get the isobars in there, I would do this. And then you could get the isobars and the gusts and say the wave height and say download the Grib. So that's the XY Grib source is a way to get. Then you've got some wind. Now that's always putting it in slot 1. And if you do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, it's always overriding slot 1. So if you want to go into slot 2, you would have to load it a different way. And but that's that. So then, so once you have this loaded, you can read the values down in the status bar. Down at the bottom, you see it's telling you the wind is, I'm surprised it doesn't have the pressure. Didn't give us the pressure. Well, maybe that's such a dependable way, or maybe I didn't ask for the pressure. It's telling me the wind, but I don't see it reading the pressure. The other thing to do is when you load a Grib, do Command I, and that's going to tell you what you've got. You should have the pressure. These are all the stuff we ask for. It's just not showing the isobars.
Maybe check your configuration.
Yeah, but there's something hiding here. That's the problem. Here, just a minute. Let me close this. You have to turn the isobars on. Well, you have to turn the isobars on to see them. That's one thing, right? That's for sure true. And then also the normal isobar spacing that's on weather maps is 4 millibars. That's not going to work for inland, or let's even get every 1 millibar like that and say, okay. Okay, close. But it should read the pressure. Oh, look at that. All right. Well, okay. That's a behavior I just wasn't familiar with. Okay. So that means it doesn't even report it in the status bar if you don't have it turned on. The other way you can read what's on the gribs, and that would work, is you go here to query data, query grib data, and it will tell you what's in that slot 1, the only one we loaded. And then that is here showing the mean sea level pressure. At that point, I just clicked the wind gusts and the wind and the wind gusts and the pressure, like that. Let me just see. Okay. So that, let me now, I just have what else here? Now I'm going to do meteograms later. I'm going to do meteograms in a minute, but there is this thing. You can also show meteograms. That's a right click and a meteogram. And I'm going to show this in a much more interesting case in a moment, where, compare gribs. What are we showing here? Waves. If we show wind, compare gribs. Gusts. Oh, gusts. I couldn't figure out why we had two. The green, this one is the gusts, and that's the wind. As a function of time, at the point I clicked here, and it always starts with this grib time up here. This is in the top left here. In the top left, you see this is the model was run at 18 Zulu at 11:09. And we're actually looking now at 247 Zulu, 11:10, the date 11:10. And this plot here always starts from the grib time, unless you come down here and change it. Then you could ask just to look from here to here to here. And then, or you can, then let me go on and show a little more interesting case of this in a moment. But this is a meteogram, very powerful feature of the program. And the pressure, you can also see the pressure variation and so forth at that particular location. This is and then I have to go here. This is now, you turn this on. This is in where you set up the grib display in this little window here. And here there's a time slider. That's turning that on. And the time slider is just showing where the days and the files. To set the actual time you're looking at, you would click this clock, and then you could either pick it off of one of the actual data forecasts like that, or you could put in a specific time. In other words, if you're going to compare, for example, to an ASCAT satellite wind measurement that went by, that'll be at some off-the-wall time, 13:45, something like that. So in that case, you would have to set this here at 13:45 to compare those two. But let me cancel. Let me go now to a case where I have some data. Load a grib and read it. Check the value in the status bar. The Saildocs is a place to get the most models. Let me just show you that, and then but not do it because I've already done it. Let's say, well, let me go down to the Gulf of Mexico where I want to go here. Just a minute. Wait a minute. Something's open. When it goes beep like that, it means something's open. That's all works. F12, F11. Huh. It was F11, and I don't know why it wasn't working. Okay, here's the case I wanted to look at some examples from the Gulf of Mexico, and I've downloaded some models, and I'll tell you where I got them. I took the default for downloading a grib. If you haven't set one of these windows, something like that, if you haven't set that, then the default is the screen size, like that. And then if I go up here and just say I want to load in, if I want to get these special models, other than the ones that it can do, in other words, if I just do this and then right click, these are the ones you can download directly. But if I want to get the more varied models, I have to click Saildocs. And then when I click Saildocs, I can choose, I want the GFS model. I want the European model like this. I want the her is a local model. It's inconsistent in a sense to take these big global models and one of these her models. That's a very low resolution. I mean, very high resolution. Many, many steps you would swamp your system. And then let's say icon. So this is the German, or I guess it's a German. Yeah, Deutsche Wetterdienst, I think. These are 3 global models. And then I could take wind and pressure, from each of them and so forth, and then say, send an email, and it generates this email. And then you send that email off, and Saildocs will send you back those Grib files. And when you get the Grib files back, you can then just, don't save, you can just move them into a folder. And that's what I've done. Why can't I move this? Oh, just a minute. I can't seem to. I'm sorry. Let's see why I can't. I can't move this full. I wanted to drag this in to show you something, but I can't seem to do it. But I can load those models. And so let me just do that and show you a couple of really quick things about just, again, basically showing the remarkable functionality of this program. And then we'd have to come back and look at the video playlist on each of the steps to show step by step how to do it. This is just an overview of its features. So let me go. I'm going to load Gribs, and I want to load into Gribs slot 1. Whoops, Gribs slot 1 open. And that should, okay. So let me put, and these are the ones I just showed you. I downloaded these 3 files from Saildocs, the European model, the US model, and the German model. So I'm going to load into slot 1, the ECMWF. Okay. Now I'm going to go to Gribs, slot 2, open. In other words, what we're after here is, let's say you're doing a routing. You want to route your boat across the Gulf of Mexico. It's a sailboat race, or it's just a cruise. And you want to then use this program to compute the best route. Now, to compute the best route, to have this program do an automatic computation of the best sailing route, you need 2 things. You need a good polar diagram of your boat that tells you its performance given wind speeds and so forth, and angles. You second need a good forecast. If either one of those is wrong, you can compute yourself off to a place you can't get back from, things like that. So we want to get, the old mountain saying, you can't get there from here. We want to be sure that we're using the best model. And the way that, and what I want to illustrate here, and I'm going overboard a few minutes, over time, a few minutes to do this, but I want to show how you compare models with what is known. Okay, so what's the last? I loaded Grib 1, slot Grib 2. Okay, I'll load Grib 2, that one. I'm going to do 3. Gribs slot 3 open, and I'll put the German model icon in there. Okay. So then what you're seeing now is all, for this particular time, you're seeing all 3 of those winds of that forecast overlaid on top of each other. And the isobars from, I forget which one, it only shows it'll show all the winds from all these different models, but it'll only show one set of isobars. And I would have to check through to see which isobar I'm showing by stepping through. Like this is all 3. This is just 1. And then if I click this, and let me just be sure isobars are on, they're on, and the 1 isobar. Oh, okay. So I want to show something. Well, let me just demonstrate this first. Okay, there's one. So that's that one from what model? This is number 1. and number 1 is the ECMWF. So that's the way that looks, and so forth. So that's what those isobars are. You have to then switch back and forth to see which are the isobars. But let me show all 3. And so we see some things here that we're not clear about. Now, there's lots of things we can do to figure out. Now, in this case, basically, look at this. This is remarkable agreement. All 3 of these models are agreeing almost identically. Where they're having trouble is this region right here. And I don't know how, if time there is, and it's easy to understand why that's happening. And one way to do it, there's a couple of things we could do to check the maps to see which map is right. One is we can then do here, just to show these features, request weather stations. Okay, there it just loaded all the weather stations that are in this area. And they're live. So if I put my mouse on here, what's it say? And okay, so the weather stations are produced. We don't control their times. Their data is at a particular time, right? At a particular time. And that time was November 10th, 0230. But we have these Grib files loaded. So what the qtVlm, what the program does is it goes into the Grib file. It goes into the Grib file and sets and reads off the wind at the right time and place to compare with that buoy. Now, a little sophisticated thing is there are 3 Gribs loaded. When you have multiple Gribs loaded, it's always taking the one with the highest resolution and using it as a standard. And we can control that by showing which ones are loaded. Here we have all 3 loaded, and that's it'd be a little cleaner to do this with just one. But look at this power of this. That buoy is reading 13.2 knots. No, that's the Grib data. The buoy is wow, it's amazing. 13.6 knots at direction 130. The model forecast, in this case, probably the ECMWF. No, it would be the GFS. The GFS is reading 13.6 at 130. It's almost identical. In other words, that model is reproducing that wind exactly right. And then you can come over and do you do another one, right? And that's another thing. Oh, this even got wave heights. Let's see. But the weather report does not have any waves. Yeah, so that's GFS, by the way, because only the GFS has the waves in it. So you see there, the pressure is 1012.8, and the Grib is forecasting 13.2. In other words, the models are doing a super good job on forecasting this. We can do other things. Now, if I want to get rid of the buoys, I think the way you do it is you would just do this. I'm going to put the shift key down. I'm going to drag on all of these, and I'm just going to say delete marks and say all of them. Okay, all of them. Yeah. But, it didn't get these. Shift over here, delete all marks. Okay, yes. Now, or the other thing you can do is with the buoys still showing, with the buoy, or look at this, you can delete just some of the buoys and keep the ones you care about. Or you can just hit, these buoys, some of them update every 10 minutes, or at least every hour, all of them. Then an hour later, you can just do it again and get them. The other thing you can do is you can right click and say, request ship reports. Now this then, qtVlm, actually ties into a free service that we at StarPath offer. That's a way to get all the ship reports for any given location. So it creates this email that sends to our server. And then when you send that, well, I'll just send it now. But when you send it, it will then wherever I clicked, and you can do this anywhere in the world. Right now, you could zoom out and just go off the coast of South Africa. Go off the coast of South Africa and ask for the ship reports or the buoy reports. You don't have to have gribs or be in any one location. It's a global functionality. And then what we send back from our server works right into this program is all the ship reports within the past 6 hours within 300 miles of that location. It's a really fantastic service that, nice service that we have, and nice that they've incorporated into there. And then when the mail, I don't know if that's come back yet or not, but no, it hasn't. But it doesn't matter because if I can go, oh, can I get there from here? Zoom class, Grib files. Ship reports. Yeah. So what I would do, okay, so what happens is when you get that report back in the mail from us, it has two things. It has all the text of all the buoy reports laid out, but it also provides a GPX file. And then so you can go in here to the program and go to Marks, Import GPX file, and then here are the ship reports like this. Open that up, and then there you see all the ship reports that were in the last 6 hours within 300 miles of that point. And then when you put your cursor on there, it does the same thing. It compares the ship reports data with what the model forecast is. This is a way that you can surprisingly get data in the middle of nowhere if there happens to be any ships in the neighborhood that are taking part in the voluntary observing ship program. So this is almost certainly the same ship, right? It's just every hour or something it's giving a report. And now what does this guy have here? For example, he has he just has pressure, and his pressure is 1014 points. Yeah, well, it's off by 2 millibars. That's not probably 2 millibars is a lot with calibrated instruments. See, this guy's better. He's 1012.2, and the model is 1011.9, and so forth. Okay, and I'll show one last thing, and then we're done. Let me get rid of the ship reports, and I guess I'm going to get rid of them the same way, like this. Oh, no, okay, that was a command key. I don't want that. I want the shift key, like that. Delete all marks, yes. Okay, now one more. Now we get into the really elegant stuff of this program. Let me go in here to Gribs, weather images, open a weather image. Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, this is the one. Now I can store 8 of these. Later versions will be more, but I can store 8 different images. This one I've got here. Okay, that's that. Oh, but maybe it's updated. So what that did, let me check when the time of this map is. No, 18 Zulu on November 9th. Now you see what we're doing is we're looking at not just the models, the ECMF, the GFS, and so forth. That's computer output that no human has looked at, right? It's just straight out of the computer into here. As soon as we start looking at this map has been vetted by professional meteorologists. In fact, this unified analysis from 3 different departments have looked at it. And so then we can start comparing a couple of things. We can compare the Grib files to what the map says. But we have to, first of all, be at the right time. What did I say? 18 Zulu, November 9th. So let me go up here to the clock and go to 18 Zulu on the 9th. Okay. And I just want to, okay. So the fact, which model do we have here? Let me do these one at a time. I'm done then. That's where I'm done in a minute, 1 minute. I just wanted to show you something. Again, it's just this, you can I want to show, okay, I'm going to change this pressure down to like 0.5. I want to be able to see the shapes that may indicate what's going on here. So if I'm looking at just one, I'm looking at the ECMWF, and you see this trough here, and they see the isobar. I had to switch on but if you see this, look at coming up and down, they actually see that. They don't, the Grib files, the model outputs from the computers never show fronts or troughs or anything like that. But by the shape of the isobars, you can sometimes interpret that. And consequently, that can account for the winds that the winds that you see. So I'll just stop there. I realize I've covered a fire hose of stuff, but the idea was to show the power of the program and so forth. And then hopefully all the training materials we have will make it easy to adapt them and use them. So again, I apologize. I did a lot and I did it fast and so forth. Oh, one last thing. On this timeline, these little dots represent the 3 files I've opened. It shows it looks like they each have data every 3 hours, but this top one, and the top one is 1, that's a ECMWF. It only has data every 6 hours. You see, it doesn't have any data right here. So we get a lot of information out of this timeline. It shows how many models we have opened, 1, 2, 3, and it shows that one of them only has data every 6 hours. There's missing dots here. Okay, so I'll stop there and let me ask if there are questions. You could just, I guess, crank on the volume. I mean, turn on the audio and ask if there's questions. I'll try to answer. Or have I swamped? I realize it was a lot. Okay, well, I want to thank you. We are this whole event, and then we could you could, if you want, put some feedback in the online classroom or write to us or something with your thoughts. Ultimately, we're thinking about having something like what you might call an open house or a class. What's it called here? Office hours. Maybe for each of our course have office hours of maybe half an hour a week or something, where you just could log in on a Zoom and ask any questions you want, and then we answer them that way. That might be a nice addition to the courses which we're considering. And it wouldn't be this kind of fire hose. This is just to show what an amazing program this is and encourage people to get involved with it. So if there's no other questions, then I'll wrap it up and thank you very much for attending. Thank you.
David.
Thank you. Yeah, if you have things later, you can always put questions in the in the discussion forums. Put it in there, and let's say even want more detail, or where do I find more about what you did on this, like this. Oh, and this thing, I guess it's recording, and we'll save it and I'll post it online somewhere. And when I do post it online, I will try to add this kind of index to it, which is a feature of the YouTube. So you can then go to a particular subject matter in that index and click straight to that part of the video. That's doable, and I promise to do that. So with that, I have to say goodbye. Thank you. Thanks again for attending.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.